guys, welcome back to another episode of the Barbell Brigade Talk Show. Today we got Nick and we got Dr. Mike Israetel, and we got a really juicy topic because we're going to talk about steroids. And since we have someone really smart,
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about steroids.
we'll have Nick talk about the loads of estrogen he's been taking.
And it's a lot. It's a lot.
So for bodybuilding, you've been on gear, and I think for most people, like even including myself, who only dreams about it all the time, like what does gear feel like, and how much like what was the experience before and after? What made you want to get on, and just like the whole like, because I almost feel like I'm immortal, and everyone that's on gear, like that giant Asian guy over there, Charlie, I just go, oh, that'll never be me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those are all valid concerns. I hear your truth.
Yeah, like how strong and how big did you get before? Why did you jump on? And then how does that feel like after?
Yeah. So I waited until I was 27 years old, and I began very meticulously and with very low doses.
Yeah.
So the first thing I noticed was that my set-to-set recovery was better after a few weeks. I was like, do a hard set and usually be like, ugh. I was like, ugh. And then 30 seconds later, I was like, I could go again. That's not a problem. So I noticed that my strength never skyrocketed a single time, but it linearly kept going up, nice and slow. It was pretty pleasant.
Would you say that's a myth? Like, and then boom, is that like a myth?
It depends on how you do things. I had my shit, so first of all, I had been training for 12 years. I was 270 pounds at like 30% body fat at 5'6".
Before gear?
Correct.
270?
Well, I made it my freshman year of high school, I was 100 pounds. And so I made it my mission to try to get jacked, and I did most of it not on gear. And I wanted to really tap out my natural potential before I started, which is why I started when I was 27 instead of like 20 or some shit like that. So that was pretty, the strength gains were not like ultra impressive. If you take it when you're young and you take a lot of it and you take some compounds, you could get insane strength results. The problem is your connective tissues on gear, on average, just grow slower than your muscle, and not even on gear, just regular. But gear has an ability to grow your muscle so fast, your connective tissue can't keep up in the short term, and then one day something goes, and then that's it. So fast strength is one of the most overrated things in the world. Quick strength gains.
Oh.
Yeah, you want ideally steady strength gains that last a long time. Like if you can get 20 pounds stronger on each lift for 10 years, holy shit. You'll be fucking doing something, but mostly people are interested in rapid stuff.
So what were some of your like PRs or your like bench or like lift numbers before gear, and then maybe some measurements, and then after gear, same thing?
I don't know about measurements, but I started at 270 and I never got back up to 270. I'm at about 255 right now.
Yeah.
And I probably have, since starting gear, like 10 years ago or whatever, I've probably gained like 30 pounds of muscle and lost 30 pounds of fat at the same time. It took a while, but my strength hasn't gone up much. So.
But it's also because you're training more for hypertrophy.
More for hypertrophy. My hypertrophy work capacity has gone up a hefty amount. So that has been pretty cool, but it hasn't been, visually it's a ridiculous change. Strength-wise, because I was a powerlifter, competitive powerlifter when I transitioned, I haven't gotten that much stronger, but so like when I was a 220 pounder, probably about 5 years before I started gear, I squatted like 490 in a meet. And then about 10 years later, after like 5 years of gear or whatever, I squatted 500 for a set of 10. So like, but that's 10 years.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's true. But it's still very impressive.
It was cool. It was cool.
very
Yeah, it was
impressive.
nice. Yeah. And then since then, I haven't prioritized squatting because there's so much spinal fatigue and so much all-around fatigue that I will do more isolation stuff before. And so my legs are the biggest by a long shot that they've ever been, but my squat numbers haven't gone up because I don't do the exercise first. I do it like third or fourth or something like that. And as far as how it felt, gear has a different side effect profile based on the individual. There's a lot of variation. but on average, especially at certain doses, people tend to see an increase in some predictably psychological markers. There's some sexual side effects.
What are some of the psychological and what are some of the sexual ones?
So sexual, generally people tend to get an increased sex drive,
So hornier.
hornier.
Wet dreams or no?
No, I've never had a wet dream in my life, man. I missed that whole fucking
only
boat. I
gets
don't know
wet
what the fuck. That's fucking awesome.
I still get wet dreams.
What's the fucking secret? What the fuck
I've
am I
never
doing
gotten a
wrong?
wet dream either.
I've had like sexual dreams where you almost not, but then you wake up and you're like, fuck, it's not even hard. I'm like, what the fuck?
I wake up after I fucking got all wet on.
That's so sweet. You're the fucking man. The question's in the wrong direction. I should really be asking. Nobody gives a shit about gear. Let's talk about wet dreams. The sex drive stuff is interesting. If you take some compounds, your sex drive goes up a lot, but you can't get hard anymore. That's fun. Yeah.
So you're really horny but it doesn't get hard.
Oh yeah, sure. It's great. It's called Deca Dick. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's sweet.
How long does that usually like last for? Is that like
However
a
long you're
phase?
taking it, yeah.
Oh shit.
So yeah, and then yeah, for me, gear also highly increases my degree of frustration and anxiety, and to a small amount anger. But I'm generally just not an angry person, so it's mostly frustration and anxiety. So like,
Is that where that like term roid rage comes
yeah,
from?
absolutely, and it absolutely is a real thing. But it doesn't always manifest as rage, and some people just don't get it nearly as much as others.
Yeah.
But for me, the anxiety has been an incredible struggle on a personal level for the entire time that I'm taking gear.
Yeah.
And when I finish my bodybuilding career, I'm gonna stop taking gear, and it's gonna be the greatest fucking thing that's ever happened. When I go down between cycles to TRT doses, I like can have emotions again and can have inner peace again. It was gears taste terrible. I hate it and I hate it and I hate it. I can't wait to stop. The only cool thing about gear is that you look like this. Everything else blows dick. Injecting sucks. Ups and downs of moods suck. Like I was getting ready for a show like a year ago, and it would take oral steroids before I go to bed because you take them AM, PM. I'd be taking my nightly shower before going to bed, and I'm just having like a panic attack in the shower. Yeah, it's all internal. I'm like showering, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And there's nothing behind it. It's like, nothing's wrong, but it feels like something's wrong.
Got it.
So imagine like, if there's a zombie running at you, you would have this sensation that something was wrong, but also cognitively you connect it, like it's because there's a zombie there. Imagine there's no zombie, you just get the emotion of something being wrong. Like they can put you into like one of those magnetic resonance devices that interacts with your skull, and they can actually elicit like fear just by pushing like waves into your amygdala or whatever. That's a similar thing where you're like, I don't know why I'm scared, but I'm scared as fuck. On gear, it's like you're frustrated. You're like, God damn it, fuck, like something won't work out the first time. Like I'll try to download a file for work and the file won't be downloading. Normally I'm like, oh, let's try something else. That's okay. Which is the logical thing to do. On gear, I'm like, God damn, like not actively because I'm not that kind of person outwardly, but inside my head I'm like, fuck, everything fucking sucks and it's collapsing. And you have to deal with those thoughts all the time. And they go away for a short time and then they come back. I wake up most mornings scared of the day because I'm so anxious that I won't be able to accomplish everything without going insane.
Whoa.
Yeah, am I selling it yet? Yeah, does everyone want to do steroids now? Gear sucks, yeah.
Wow, that's because you don't really hear that side at all.
No.
That also kind of sounds like a period. Like when Gio would tell me, like, you know, sometimes she's like,
I thought you were gonna say when Gio's on a ton of gear.
no, because like she'll be like, when she's on her menstrual cycle, sometimes she'll be like, I'm just sad.
100%.
I'm like, why?
Yeah, there's no.
We had a great day today. She'll like, I know. I'm like, fuck.
You're just egging her on. 100%.
I don't know. And sometimes she's
Something to be sad about.
yeah, I'm like, damn. I'm like, and then she'll be like, oh, I just feel so frustrated. I don't know why. I'm like, dude, we just woke up 5 minutes ago. What the fuck's going on? She goes, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's the same way, except all the time. And it's mostly negatives. Yeah, it's mostly negatives. At least for me. I think some people who like being aggressive and they don't think that frustration is a human emotion that's totally wasteful, they don't mind it. And some people don't get the side effects.
I don't like that feeling of like.
It's awful. And it is all the time.
What about, does it help with like getting sick or immunity or anything like that?
You almost never get sick.
That's what I hear.
I got COVID when I was on a shitload of gear getting ready for a show, and I was like, I had like a little fever and a mild cough for 3 days, and then I was 100%. It was so sweet, yeah. But yeah, it's sweet, but at the same time, like the gear is always killing you, so you're kind of already sick. Yeah, I mean, you know, like gear wears down every organ, and it makes you. There's a pretty decent set of literature that says a gear might long term make you like dumber. too. Really? Yeah, like has some neurotoxic effects.
So what are the benefits? Are the benefits?
You're just more jacked, yeah.
That's literally the only benefit?
You have more training energy. At a certain dose, you have more drive to train. So like, some gear, you'll do a workout that's unbelievably hard, and 10 minutes later, someone's like, hey, if I paid you $1,000, would you do that workout again? You're like, 100%. I could just go right back in and just go. Yeah, it's great. The first time I was taking gear, I remember I was doing like this hack squat, cable hack squat machine, and I was pressing with my legs, and I pressed, and as failure approached, the resistance internally increased. Like, like when you get close to failure, it feels slower.
Yeah.
That feeling of resistance, it didn't anger me. It gave me like an egotistical, how dare you? Whoa. Like, it's like if a cop's trying to pull someone over, but they're still driving. I think that's righteous. Like, what the fuck? I'm the police. Pull over. Like, how dare you? Somebody like calls you like a bitch. You're like, what the fuck? That was the sensation I got. And I was like, harder and harder and harder and harder. 5 reps beyond what I could normally do. And I was like, and then I stopped and I was like, yeah, I better not do that a whole lot. I will rip my quads off the bone. So it gives you cool abilities to do shit like that.
That sounds
like,
cool.
it's cool. Yes. Here's the thing. As soon as you're done with the set, and you're like, oh, that feeling of like, how dare you? It's still there. Yeah.
So you can never like scratch that itch kind of?
Not really. There are a bunch of cognitive loops you can do in order to obviate that and in order to make peace with it. So I was into meditation and mindfulness for a long time before I ever did gear. But that helps a ton, but it's a management thing. And it's kind of like you like interview people, and this is an extreme analogy, but you interview people in wartime, and some people are like, yeah, like doing what I have to do to get by every day. And that doesn't mean they like the war. They would be like, oh, so war's okay? Like, no, Jesus, then stop the war. But they can handle it. So I'm handling it, but I'm uninterested in handling for much longer. And I think people who want to take gear should know that the psychological effects are real as fuck. And there's all kinds of other ones that I haven't even talked about, and the ups and downs are crazy. Like, based on your injection frequency, like you shoot two times a week. By the end of the week, you feel like more human again, and then an hour after you shoot, you're like cold and less emotion filled. Like, I remember I was coming down off of gear, and I was driving through like South Dakota of all places, and we were driving at night.
South Dakota pissed you off, huh?
No. So thank
What
God,
a terrible state.
I was coming down, and I was like, there was this like, we were driving at night, and there was all these lakes and hills, and like I felt the emotion or the experience of beauty. Like when you see something beautiful, I felt it for the first time in months, and I was like, whoa, this is sweet.
That is crazy.
Yeah, all the beautiful stuff, like the quality of life stuff. Like I have a dog, we have a dog, my wife and I, and we love her to death. When I'm on lower doses, I just love her more. Like, I see her and she looks way cuter, and I want to, I do that anyway, but I do it to an extreme extent if I'm not on gear. I'm like more like a Terminator robot, but like the termination goes outward and inward at the same time. Actually, you guys watch Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Was that a no?
Yeah, not much.
Anyway, so in any case,
I'm not a very good Asian.
your audience may appreciate this. I know this is terrible. It's like being at like Super Saiyan all the time. There's more focus and more. You don't have dinner when you're at a Super Saiyan.
Yeah. They don't chill out.
There's no chill. It's just no chill all the time, and it really fucking.
How much longer is the timeline for you?
2 to 4 years. So I'm 38. I'm going to take a crack at the Masters Pro division at the 35 to 40 age range, and then for a few years at the 40 to 45. And if I can't make it happen, so I took second in the super heavies at Masters USA's last year. So I'm like a contender, because if I took like 6th, I'd be like, I would shut it down right now. There'd be no point. But like, I have a shot at the title. So if it doesn't happen in the next 2 to 4 years, I'll see myself off, and that's that. So.
That's awesome. That was so insightful, fascinating. That was so cool. And it was so cool that you're so open about it. And thank you so much, because I know
I'll be getting arrested later. This is all pretend, by the way. It's alternate universe only.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.